What a roller coaster of a weekend, boys. Jesus H. Mary and Joseph. Let this be a lesson in how easily we as a community can change anti-consumer decisions if we band together. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a great weekend. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about, don't we? So initially, this was going to be a regular Tales from the Twit Pit, quickly recapping the recent events regarding Sony and Helldivers, followed by your average salt. However, as the news was quickly evolving over the last several days, I elected to make two videos. One covering the news aspect, and the other fully engrossed in salt. However, while this is still the plan, the overall tone of this news video has shifted due to recent developments because, folks, we did it! The Helldivers community banded together and put their foot down and managed to make Sony reverse their decision to force PSN account linking 3 months after the release of Helldivers 2.
Whoa! Damn, man, look at that, look!
So first things first, pat yourselves on the back. We have shown that PC players, we don't take this shit. We won't back down. Sony fucked around and found out. So instead of the original idea for the video, what I'm going to do here is document how Sony almost killed Helldivers. Because despite them reversing this decision, we need to make sure we document every aspect of this debacle so that no one forgets. So let's start from the tippy top, shall we? Helldivers 2. If you are even moderately ingrained in the gaming culture, you've no doubt heard about this game. A darling co-op horde extraction shooter brought to you by the Magica devs. Upon its release, the devs saw incredible success. So much so, it caused quite a bit of server issues. Issues so severe, they had to temporarily turn off the required PSN account link, allowing players to play the game without such a thing. 3 months pass, and the reception to the game is consistently positive. The server issues were more or less solved within the first few weeks, and the devs were consistently dropping content for the game every single month. Sony had did it! They had finally found a successful live service game that had near universal praise.
The reality is, I'm an idiot.
Unfortunately, because Sony is Sony, they decided to take their veritable golden goose out back to look at the rabbits. Suddenly, announcing on May 2nd that starting May 6th, the day this video would be up, would now require you to create and link a PlayStation Network account.
You what?
People were understandably upset over this. After all, the game was functioning just fine these last 3 months without it. And the idea of forcing such a requirement post-launch is unheard of. Naysayers would consistently come to bat for this decision, citing the requirement was always there at launch. They just disabled it temporarily.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Conveniently leaving out the fact that it was roughly 36 hours after launch they disabled it, as well as galactic war map stats to take the load off of servers. And that even long after said issues were solved, it stayed turned off. Now, Sony's reasoning for doing such a sudden decision was for, quote, safety, citing that in doing so, they can more easily ban and moderate players who could be caught cheating. Except the problem here is, why would a PSN account link suddenly make it easier to find and ban players abusing the game?
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
After all, this was never needed in their previous games, so what could have possibly changed? Well, it might have something to do with potentially inflating their PlayStation player numbers to bring up to shareholders in June at the end of Q2 of their fiscal year. But that's just speculation.
Really makes you think.
Fast forward to May 3rd, and the game had started receiving negative reviews, going up to around 10K. And at this point, things started picking up steam, no pun intended, when the CEO of Arrowhead Studios made a tweet asking people to send questions to PlayStation support in regards to account linking. And in said thread, someone brought up a good point. Twitter user Fooly Gooly tweeted the following.
I'm sure you do realize that a majority of players cannot legally make PSN accounts, right? And PS Support blog states it's optional, yet the HD2 notice says it's mandatory. We just need a simple yes or no answer. Can the account linking be made optional, yes or no?
To which the CEO replied,
We are working on that question with our partners over at PlayStation. Sorry for the inconvenience and lack of a direct answer. We will keep you posted.
From here, people decided to do a little investigating because, wait a second, just how many countries would be locked out of the game they bought 3 months later? Oh boy! In case you weren't keeping count, 177. That's right, 177 countries, which is asinine. Of course, your typical bootlicker, desperate to win the adoration of their favorite corporation, attempted to gaslight and victim blame people affected by this decision, stating they should have known since this was always a requirement that it was just temporarily disabled. But let me ask you this. If a company knows they're going to eventually enforce this option, that'll de facto make their game unable to play in over 177 countries prior to launch, and then proceed to sell said game in these countries despite this knowledge, is that not incredibly scummy? In fact, one could argue it's grounds for planned obsolescence, which is a purposeful strategy to ensure the current version of a product will become out of date or useless within a known time period. So if you sold a product in a number of countries that cannot legally make a PSN account, forcing them to break your own terms of service to make an eligible account from another country, which can result in these players getting banned. Hell, forget planned obsolescence, this would technically be entrapment, as you are tricking players into breaking your own terms of service and then potentially banning them for said TOS violation.
Gotcha, bitch!
However, entrapment is usually specified to law enforcement, but its use is eerily similar to this current situation, ain't it? Now here comes the interesting bit, because when people did a little bit of digging, they found that on Sony's own FAQ under frequently asked questions was the question, do I have to sign into PSN when playing a PlayStation game on PC? To which the answer is, it is optional, seemingly contradicting this bizarre requirement for Helldivers 2. Well, Sony realized quickly they were caught with their hand in the cookie jar and hastily changed this after May 3rd, so that it now states that some PlayStation games might require such a sign-in. You can't retroactively change your own rules to avoid scrutiny, Sony. What is you doing, baby? What's funny is Sony forgot to change this on the actual store, so when reading the description on Helldivers 2, it still states a PSN account for games on Steam is optional.
You're stupid!
Ooh, swing and a miss. As we move on to the next day, May 4th, the negative reviews raised from 10k to 37k, leading to an apology from the CEO himself. From here, we start getting screen caps of Discord messages from various members of the team. One of them who straight says verbatim this was Sony's decision and not theirs, and more from one of their community managers, specifically Spitz. Now, Spitz is an interesting person, and honestly, I don't think they're cut out for community management, as at first, they were not helping the situation, letting the negative feedback get to them and snarkily replying to people like so. Even going so far as to mock people over the idea of simply making another account. And this spurned people even more, Eventually, Spitz retracted their previous statements, stating that no one should feel bad for them, and that players should be making their displeasure known through negative reviews and refunds, as that will give them more pull with discussions with Sony, something your average Sony sycophant will ignore to continue sucking on that Sony schlong.
You stupid.
All in all, things were not going very well, when suddenly, what's this? Helldivers 2 is now delisted from every country that cannot make a PSN account, and Steam is approving refunds despite people being over the 2-hour mark.
Say that again?
Now, what this means is people who have bought the game in these countries can no longer play Helldivers 2. Sony seemingly doubled down on this, or maybe it was Steam trying to rectify this problem post-mortem, attempting to prevent more people potentially buying a game they would quickly lose access to come Monday. At this point in time, the game had amassed over 100,000 negative reviews, eventually hitting overwhelmingly negative within just over 48 hours. And even though defenders would try to tell you the game still had a decent player count on Steam early on, by May 5th, it would drop from over 100k to 75k to 69k. Clearly, once this account link went through, the player base would be significantly smaller, cutting short the life of this successful game. Except, hold on, what's this? As of 9 p.m. PST, the official PlayStation Twitter account tweets the following.
Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans.
Yes! 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 Yes!
They relented. We have shown that a community like Helldivers is not to be fucked with. Now, we're not out of the woods yet. They still need to revert the games being pulled from the 177 countries, as since it's no longer going to be a requirement, the game is now once again functional, so people who haven't refunded yet should regain access to their game. And as much as I feel for the devs, they were 100% screwed over by Sony. They definitely did not help their public perception as much as they could have, with the overall attitude from the community managers and even the CEO admitting he wasn't blameless in this, and admitting that they knew for approximately 6 months before launch the account linking would be mandatory for online PlayStation titles. And when asked about the statement, he gave the following.
Thank you for the civil questions. We signed Helldivers 2 8 years ago. It doesn't specify details such as account linking. There are always requirements from publishers during development. This was one of them. We did discuss it, and it was deemed as important for PlayStation to have it for an online title. And it was implemented a couple months before release. When the servers exploded on launch, quick decisions had to be made, such as turning off linking and Galactic War stats to be able to take the load off of servers. We couldn't enable it again because of the risk to explode the servers again, and remember the negative feedback around that. And now finally, the requirement to re-enable came from PlayStation to help with moderation, and we had to comply even though there were concerns there would be backlash. There was backlash, and now we're talking about it again.
It kind of reminds me a bit of Sean Murray when he was on tour talking about No Man's Sky, which in Internet Historian's video, he talked about Sean's body language and his introverted nature as an explanation for how those interviews and questions would lead to expectations. And I think a similar thing might have happened here. Now, I could be misconstruing, as we are dealing with text and not actual body language. But seeing how the CEO tweets, I do think, due to his temperament, might have made a few rash tweets that, in hindsight, could end up making things worse despite his best intentions. Since this decision, the reviews have slowly been raising back up, going from overwhelmingly negative to mostly negative. Slowly but surely. Once they reverse the delisting, I'm sure the scores will go back to normal. Let this be a lesson. Whenever a company tries to make an asinine anti-consumer decision and naysayers try to tell you you can't make a difference, complaining and review bombing won't solve anything, point them to this video. Let it serve as a reminder of how Sony almost killed Helldivers 2. And never back down from your principles. It makes me wonder what could have been if console gamers were as vocal about paid online and paid cloud saves. But that's another topic for another video. That's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. As always, to stay up to date on all things crab, you can follow me on Twitter via the link in the description below. And if you're looking for a way to support the channel, you can consider becoming a member. For just 99 cents a month, you get access to the community Discord, the Crab Shack. Once you're in for good, as well as emotes to harass you with live on streams. Now, as I said early at the start of the video, the salt portion detailing all the fanboys defending this decision, both before and after the reversal, will be up sometime this week. But with all that out of the way, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next video.